The night Michael put his son to bed, he didn't expect a knock that would change his life. He thought it was the wind, or maybe a neighbor needing help. But when he opened the door, he found the last person he ever imagined standing there. His boss, the powerful CEO who ran the company that barely kept his lights on. Her eyes were red, her hands were shaking, and before he could say a word, she whispered through tears, "I canceled my wedding. I couldn't fake loving someone, when kindness already showed me what real love looks like." Before we begin this emotional story, take a moment to support the channel. If stories like this move you, inspire you, or remind you of the good still left in the world, please subscribe, like this video, and leave a comment below. Your support helps your channel name keep sharing stories that matter. Now let me take you back to where this story truly began. Michael Harris was a single dad living in a small rented house on the edge of town. Nothing fancy. The paint was peeling, the heater worked only when it felt like it, and the roof leaked during heavy rain. But to Michael and his 7-year-old son, Noah, it was home. Michael worked long hours as a maintenance supervisor at a large tech manufacturing company. His boss, Claire Whitmore, was known across the industry as brilliant, strict, and untouchable. She ran meetings like a battlefield and expected perfection from everyone. People respected her, but very few felt close to her. Michael was never late. He never complained. He worked weekends without being asked, not because he wanted praise, but because he needed the job. After his wife passed away suddenly 3 years earlier, his whole world became Noah. Every extra dollar mattered. Every hour counted. One cold December morning, Michael noticed Claire struggling in the parking lot. Her car wouldn't start, and she was clearly frustrated, tapping her phone and pacing. Most employees walked right past her. Some were afraid. Others assumed she had help. Michael didn't hesitate. He grabbed his jumper cables from his old truck and walked over. "Ma'am," he said gently, "I can help if you want." Claire looked surprised, then annoyed, then tired. She nodded. As Michael worked on her car, Noah's handmade drawing fell out of his jacket pocket. Claire noticed it, a picture of a man holding a small boy's hand under a crooked sun. "Your son?" she asked. Michael smiled. "Yeah, he draws one every morning so I don't forget why I work." That small moment stayed with Claire longer than she expected. Days passed, then weeks. Michael continued doing small things, fixing broken doors without being asked, helping coworkers, staying late to clean up spills. He never once mentioned his struggles. One evening, Claire overheard Michael on the phone in the break room. He was speaking softly. "No, buddy, it's okay," he said. "We don't need a big Christmas. Just being together is enough." "Yeah, Santa understands." Claire stood frozen outside the door. That night, she went home to her luxury apartment overlooking the city. Her fiancé, Daniel, was waiting with wedding catalogs spread across the table. Everything was perfect on paper. The venue, the guest list, the future. But it felt empty. Claire had spent her whole life chasing success. She believed love was something you scheduled between meetings. Kindness was optional. Weakness was dangerous. Yet here was Michael, exhausted, underpaid, carrying grief, and still choosing kindness every day. A week before Christmas, a major pipe burst at the office late at night. Michael rushed in, even though it was his only night off. Noah sat in the truck wrapped in a blanket, coloring quietly while his dad worked. Claire showed up unexpectedly. She saw Noah sleeping in the passenger seat. She saw Michael's cracked hands, his tired eyes. "Why didn't you call someone else?" she asked. Michael shrugged. "He needed me, and the building needed me too." Something broke open inside her. The next morning, Claire called Michael into her office. He expected trouble. Maybe he'd crossed a line. Instead, she handed him an envelope. Inside was a bonus, enough to cover rent, utilities, and Christmas. Michael's hands trembled. "I can't." "You can," she said firmly, "and you should." Tears filled his eyes. "Thank you," he whispered. You don't know what this means. Claire did know. For the first time, she truly did. But kindness has a way of asking more of us. On Christmas Eve, a snowstorm hit the city hard. Power lines went down across neighborhoods. Michael's house lost heat. Claire, sitting alone in her penthouse, thought of Noah in the cold. Without overthinking it, she grabbed blankets, food, and drove through the storm to Michael's address, an address she had quietly looked up weeks earlier. When Michael opened the door and saw her standing there, soaked and shivering, he was stunned. "I'm sorry," she said, her voice breaking. "I didn't know where else to go." They sat in the living room, sharing soup by candlelight while Noah slept on the couch. For the first time in years, Claire talked. She talked about her childhood, about parents who valued achievement over affection, about a life filled with applause but no warmth. Michael listened. He didn't judge, he didn't interrupt, he just listened. That night changed everything. In the weeks that followed, Claire felt a growing truth she could no longer ignore. She didn't love Daniel. She loved the idea of stability, control, image. But real love, real kindness, looked like Michael tucking his son in, like soup in a storm, like listening without fixing. 3 days before the wedding, Claire canceled everything. The calls were brutal, the headlines unforgiving. Then she drove to Michael's house, which brings us back to that knock on the door. Standing there, shaking, she said, "I couldn't fake loving someone when kindness already showed me what real love feels like." Michael didn't rush her. He didn't promise anything. He simply opened the door wider. Months later, Claire stepped down as CEO, not to disappear, but to rebuild the company culture from the ground up. Michael was promoted, not just for his skills, but for his heart. They didn't rush into a fairy tale. They built something real, together. And Noah? He drew a new picture, 3 hands, 1 son, and a house that finally looked warm. Kindness doesn't always shout. Sometimes it whispers through small choices. A helping hand, a listening ear, a door opened on a cold night. And sometimes, it changes everything. If this story touched you, let it remind you that kindness is never wasted. Share it, live it, and pass it on.